Hi everyone, I'm Udit. Today I'm going to talk about software engineering resumes for Meta candidates. This is relevant if you're interviewing at Meta, at Facebook, at WhatsApp, at Instagram, or pretty much any of the companies that fall under that umbrella because they have a common interview process for them. I'm going to cover 5 tips which have been collected from Meta engineering recruiters who focus on early careers. So this is relevant for you if you're either still a student or if you have up until 5 years of experience. It's also going to be somewhat relevant if you're a senior level engineer, but I'd say it's diminishing returns. So while some of the concepts might apply to you, the actual examples are more geared towards the early careers audience. These recruiters themselves have tons of experience and have reviewed thousands of resumes. And in this video, we're going to try to distill the key insights we got from interviewing them so that you can get an edge when you finally apply to Meta. Quick introduction, I'm from Prepfully. We offer mock interviews and resume reviews from coaches and recruiters on our website, alongside a range of other interview prep services, most of which are free, such as interview questions, free practice with other candidates, interview guides, and so on. So the same recruiters who helped us put together this guide are also the ones who do resume reviews and mock interviews on Prepfully. So if at any point you decide that, hey, personalized feedback can help me get my resume to the next level, or I just want feedback on maybe why I'm not getting calls, or how do I demonstrate competence for a specific role, you can get a written or a verbal review of your resume from these same recruiters through Prepfully. I'll include a link in the description below for your reference. Right then, on to the tips themselves. The first tip is around coding skills. The vast majority of candidates are going to mention the languages and stacks and technologies that they're familiar with, and that's great. You should do that as well. The problem though is that most candidates stop there. So a number one tip is to take these technical skills that you're already articulating and put them into the context of what Meta is looking for. And by that I mean what Meta's values are already kind of telling you what they're looking for. So a good example is Meta focuses a lot on how fast you build stuff. So when you say that, hey, you are familiar with Selenium, or you're familiar with Java or C++ or whatever, try to talk about how quickly you've learned it or how effectively you've used that technology to build something. So build a new engine for calculating XYZ in 3 months. And here the key part is 3 months. And then back it up with advice because they want you to build awesome things. So successfully reduced XYZ by 4%. And that way you show that you're not just coding for the sake of it and that you don't just know a technology at a superficial level, but you know how to apply it in the true engineering sense of adding value to a problem that you've identified. The second thing that Meta really cares about is that you build awesome things and that you have a passion for building awesome things. So make sure you try to show that, not just through the work you've done in the past. And let's be honest, for the vast majority of us, the work that we do in our day jobs can be very interesting, but it might not necessarily be awesome, or it might not be that cutting edge. And you want to show Meta that you care about that and you've done that in the past. So if you've done side projects, or if you've done academic projects, or if you've done anything that falls under any subjective definition of awesome, make sure you flag that out, especially if it's beyond the scope of work or beyond the scope of what you were anyway obliged to do. You're going to get tremendous brownie points for showing that you go above and beyond, because it doesn't just show you how much you care about the craft, it also shows that you care about learning, that you care about becoming better at it, and ultimately you care about building awesome things, which is a key value principle for Meta. So things to focus on here are, if you contributed to any open source repos, please make sure you flag that and link to your GitHub profile. If you've participated in competitive coding competitions, absolutely mention that. That is awesome in its very own right. There are plenty of folks who host challenges such as HackerRank. Google also has challenges. Sometimes Meta comes up with this. Please absolutely mention if you've participated on it. If you want badges of any sort, please mention that too. This becomes less relevant once you start really showing technical depth through just your work experience. But if you're a student or if you graduated recently, all these are excellent proxies of your awesomeness and your ability to build awesome things as the next step. The third thing that Meta cares a lot about is technical competence, demonstrated through technical breadth and depth. And here what I'm largely talking about is systems design experience. Now, if you're a student or if you recently graduated, you're often not going to get a systems design interview. And that's probably a good thing because you haven't had a chance to truly put it into a pragmatic sense at a job with all the requirements of scale that you'd want to be able to succeed at. Having said that, your recruiters are absolutely going to want to see an inclination to be able to do that in the future, because you're going to be communicating with senior engineers. You're going to have to understand the guidance you receive from them and apply it in a real world sense. And eventually you probably will want to grow to that level yourself. So they want to get an idea that of you at least having made an attempt in this direction. So if you've ever thought about the design of a platform, make sure you mention that in a sentence, like designed a system catering to X goal, with Y constraint or bottleneck, because it's the constraint and the bottleneck that make this really interesting and a challenge, and that show that you can think and solve that problem if you were to face it in real life as well. Ultimately, your recruiter is looking to get a signal here, so try to use the keywords that give them that signal. Of course, don't lie about it, but if you've conceptualized something or if you've thought about the architecture of something, absolutely mention that. And try to show both depth and breadth. Like you could show breadth by referencing different parts of the design, like improve the caching logic or improve the database design. But you can also show depth by showing the degree of the impact, like improve database design and improve the querying speed, which improved querying speed by X times, or which built out a caching mechanism, which improved the website loading speed by X. And that shows that you didn't just think of the buzzword and put it there, you actually measured the impact, tied it back to business impact, and you are thinking in the direction of what a senior engineer would eventually be expected to deliver at anyway, which makes you a really, really good fit from a recruiter's perspective. The fourth tip then is around past experience, be it internships or full-time, as well as your academic achievements. Academic achievements are super important if either you're still a student or if you recently graduated, so absolutely mention your GPA, absolutely mention one or two key courses you might have done that might be interesting to the role you've applied for and relevant for the role you've applied for. Don't make the mistake of excluding your GPA because it's bad, because I promise you if you exclude it, they're going to assume the worst and think it's even worse than it might actually be. So absolutely include it. But if you think it's bad, try to compensate for it by focusing on other things that you've done, such as the project work that you might have done, the academic projects and the delivery there, and go beyond in explaining not just the technology used, but the people you did it with, the sort of impact it had and the learnings you gained from it, because ultimately all those are good proxies for success. Academic GPAs are one proxy, and you can easily outweigh those through excellent contributions on other domains. When it comes to past work experience, be it internships or full-time, the same principles apply. So make sure you talk not just about the technology you used, but the people you worked with, your learning journeys and outcomes, as well as the impact you achieved. And most people think that it's hard to do that in a resume. It absolutely is. You have to be concise, and yet you have to get that in there, because with any of these elements missing, it's really easy to just get lumped along with the millions of other candidates that are going to go via these recruiters as well. So you want to stand out by ticking all the checkboxes here. Fifth tip for Meta: have something that helps you stand out in your resume. And this is a very, very subjective tip, because it's going to be different for every person, but it needs to make you memorable in a good way, and it needs to be something that a lot of other people won't have. So it can't just be I had a GPA of 9 or something like that, or like if you're in the US 4, because a lot of other people are going to have that. It needs to be something that is a lot more unique than that. It needs to be something that can be tied to the skills you need to succeed at a job. So it could be around building something as your side hustle. It could be around doing something for charity that had a tremendous or disproportionate impact to the effort you had to invest in it. Ultimately, you want to try to show your recruiter that you are different, and even if you might not succeed in that attempt, you have to make an attempt, because it's the fact that you tried that's going to count, and it's what's going to make you memorable when they start trying to figure out which resume is going to get that first recruiter call versus which one is not going to get it. Good. That's all from us then. If you want specific feedback on your resume or personalized advice, like I mentioned earlier, you can get your resume reviewed by a Meta recruiter or a Meta software engineer if you think that's more relevant for you. I'll include the link in the description below. If you just want to get advice on how to crack Meta's software engineering interview process, or if you want practice, and this is probably one of the more valuable things you can do with our coaches, just coding practice, or system design practice if you're a senior, or if you want behavioral practice, because that interview is tremendously important as well, you can book an advice session or a mock interview with the very same coaches. I'll include a link to this in the description below as well. In addition, there's a whole bunch of other useful resources, nearly all of which are free, on the Prepfully website, so we'll include links to these. Please do check them out, and we're hoping that they come in handy for you. If you have any questions on what I've already covered or topics you want me to focus on, please ask in the comments below and I will try to bump it up in our backlog. If you found this particular video useful, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Good luck with your interviews.
Thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, please subscribe. Our website is prepfully.com. We've got lots of interview questions there. You can also schedule a mock interview with one of our experts. You can find the link in the description below. All the best from us at Prepfully, and we hope you totally rock your interview.